gonna go, ooh, Mr. Darius. Okay, so like mentioned before by some of you or by Marjorie, and then I think I don't know if somebody wrote in the chat, but ApplyTexas is an application portal that will allow you to submit applications for 2-year or 4-year institutions. So when we think about 2-year, it would be your community colleges, Mountain View, Eastfield, El Centro. Like, you can submit those applications via ApplyTexas, but then also for 4-year institutions like UNT at Denton, UNT in Dallas, UT Austin, Sam Houston, right? All of these other places in Texas that are larger schools. And so the ApplyTexas application holds, like I said, your essay, your application itself, and then any documents, so your resume, your transcript, documents that you attach, they'll just continue to be attached once you duplicate the application. And so for Common App, it is again a portal for application of colleges or universities, but this is all over the United States. So it's not restricted to being used just in like a certain state. This is all over. And similarly to ApplyTexas, you have all of these other documents. I think something else that both of these hold is letters of recommendation. And so thinking about that as well. So literally everything you need to apply to school will be housed in both of these application sites or these application portal sites, portals or whatever y'all want to call them. Does everybody, are we all on the same page as so far as what ApplyTexas and Common App is like generally? I see Jesse said yes. Do the rest of y'all, are Deanna and yes, okay, Miss Jennifer, okay. Okay, Miss Reed, okay. Anybody else? Everybody else is good? We're good to proceed? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes, because I can see y'all's thing when none of y'all are responding. Okay, Kate said yes. And so I wanted I hope that all of y'all are on your computers because we are gonna be workshopping, trying to complete at least one or the other, whether it's ApplyTexas or whether it's going to be Common App. I want us to begin an application, maybe not finish it all the way through, but finish as much as we can for today. So sort of some tips before you get started, like completing any of these applications. So the first one would be email addresses. So, and this has happened a lot, not just with your class, but with other classes. Some people be having emails that are like babygirl214@gmail.com. Please do not register for anything college related with an email address that is unprofessional, like babygirl214, right? I want y'all to sort of take the time, and if you do have a email address that is maybe not the most professional, that we make a new one, and it'll be your last name, first name, or a combination of your last name, first name, and then a number @gmail.com. So keeping it as simple and straightforward as possible. And I know that sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, like professionalism, but trust me that that admissions counselors notice when your emails kind of interesting. I have a lot of friends who work in admissions offices, and like they'll put on their Instagram story, they'll be like, what is this email address? So know that people are looking at your contact information and what it says about you. Yes, that is a good email address. Yes, you can use that, Miss Esther. Yes. And so just thinking about that, right? Just so something small, but makes a lot of impact, right? So the second thing you should have up is have a recent transcript, right? It doesn't have to be official. It doesn't be something that has to be signed and stamped, right? No, we don't need something official. It could be whether it's through your power school or if you're doing the collegiate academies, like if it's going to be your college transcript, right? Something that holds and tells you what classes that you have taken, because it is something that will be asked. They'll be asking you about your GPA. They'll be asking you about what classes you took like during your high school time. So just make sure to have that, because it has a lot of your academic information that you don't want to have to go and search for. And then the third one is to have a college list. So here I provided the reminder that the schools that you go to determines the portals that you use, right? So if you're just going to apply to schools in Texas and you are only interested in applying to schools in Texas, then it doesn't really matter for you to, or it does matter, right? But it wouldn't be beneficial for you to create an ApplyTexas and a Common App, right? Because you wouldn't be using the Common App application because all of your schools are under ApplyTexas. But if you're only applying the other way around, then you wouldn't need an ApplyTexas application. So thinking about not having to do more work than we have to, so your college list is important. And even if it's not finalized, knowing what application to use for what schools is going to be important. And then the last one is to write down all of your username and passwords for every single thing, right? For any scholarship that requires like special logins, write these down. For anything like your Common App, your ApplyTexas, I know it's easy for us to just sort of save it, like auto save it on our browsers, but please make sure, like my recommendation is for you to create an electronic note or like an electronic document, like a Microsoft document or like a Google Drive document that has all of your username and passwords, because even if you save it onto your computer, like if you're using the school computers, like the DISD computers, like they're gonna take that away from you eventually, once you graduate, right? So you won't have the device with you, but you always wanna make sure that you're having all of these like at hand, all in one place, so that no matter what device you're using, you always have access to that information. And trust me that it's gonna make your life super easier, because like once you fill out, like let's say for example, like FAFSA, you forget your password, you're gonna have to keep resetting it because you have to do FAFSA every year up until you stop going to school. So just make sure that like I'm trying to make it as easy for y'all as possible, like moving forward. So those are sort of my little tips for that. Do y'all have some of this stuff? Like, do y'all have like your transcripts, or are you struggling to get those? Like, are y'all struggling making a college list? Like, are these things that seem feasible, or are they things that you're like, ooh, maybe we need a little bit more assistance with either transcripts or emails or college lists?
So, a college transcript could replace a regular high school one?
No, because your high school transcript still holds your high school classes. And I don't think any of you just have college classes. At least I might be wrong, but I think that some have some high school classes. So you still want to make sure that you're having both. Even if right now you just have one, like that's fine. You can always go back and complete it. But whatever you have now is fine, but know that you will need both of them eventually.
Okay, thank you.
And before we get started with, I guess we're gonna get started with ApplyTexas first. On the chat, I'm gonna put the link to this presentation. And you can go on there, and the ApplyTexas on this slide that I'm on is hyperlinked. So if you click it, it'll take you to the ApplyTexas application. And if not, I'll just go ahead and do it here. So I'm just gonna look up Texas so that y'all can see, and then here is my login. So I want y'all to go ahead and open this, and I can copy this and put it on the chat as well. And if you are applying to a school in Texas, I want you to go ahead and create an account. And I'll put it here. Ooh, I pasted it onto the browser. That's not where I wanted it to go. The second link is the ApplyTexas link. Sorry, I was looking at my phone. Mr. Contreras, I think, said something to us, so I was just making sure.
There's something like super important here. If some of you, do you mind going back to the other slide? Or to the, to the ApplyTexas?
Here, oh, to the here.
So if you guys can see, the prompts for the 2021-2022 essay is already out. So if that's something, you're applying to in-state institution, you can already start looking at what the essay is gonna be composed of. There's 3 options I believe you can choose from. So like topic C, topic D, so there's like 4 actually. Or there's just for freshmen. So you can already start looking at the essay questions and start kind of writing your piece. and then we can start the editing process as well. So even if it's not a perfect piece of whatever the topic is, we can start editing that once you complete that.
Yes.
It was just one of the things that I wanted
Mhm.
to be aware of because, you know, a lot of students didn't know that it's already published.
Mhm. And it's also important for you to start collecting the different short answers in the essay prompts. I know that this sounds like a lot. Writing is always very intimidating for some of us, but just like Ms. Martinez said, getting ahead of the curve is going to help, especially with some of the programming that we have set up for you in the next few weeks. Like really knowing what they want you to write about will be important to when you're thinking about what story you're trying to tell. Okay, has everybody signed up and registered and written down their ApplyTexas username and password? I have some tips. And like right now, you don't have to go through and complete the application. I just want y'all to have at least a username and password. After I have sort of this we do this general review on the different applications, I want to workshop and have y'all sort of begin and like start an application while we're all on the phone. So some things to keep in mind for ApplyTexas, and I hope that y'all are either writing this down or opening up the PowerPoint presentation. So the first thing, we've already done it, hopefully y'all did do it right, is this: create a new profile using your professional email address and record your username and password on your document, your password document, right? So that's the first thing. So in order to create an application, and we'll go over this once we I'll be here to answer these questions once you get there, once you start sort of filling it out. So the first, how you sort of begin an application is you go to My Application tab at the very top. And so then from there, you put Start a New Application. Something, I know that that sounds maybe very generic or very, okay, hold up. I got here a bit late. Do I have to create an ApplyTexas account? Yes. Yes, sign up. So yes, Gabriel, sign up for an ApplyTexas account right now as I'm sort of talking, and make sure that the email that you are using for that account is something professional. So for example, like first name, last name, and then a series of numbers at gmail.com. Please don't make it be anything like babygirl214 or something. We're having a good impression, and that's for like all of you. And some of you have come in late, so thank you for asking those questions. Wait, I have another question in the chat box. That's fine. That'll work. That's a good email. Yes. And so once we start a new application, the things that you need to remember is, even if you are part of a collegiate academy, the university still wants you to apply as a U.S. freshman. So the reason that they want you to apply as a U.S. freshman, and this is something that Mr. Joe Posada answered for us on Tuesday, is because like the reason that they're gauging this question or these application types is because you are entering onto their campus and onto a college campus for the first time in their eyes, right? Even if you've done community college, that is still considered sort of your high school coursework. So unless you have already enrolled into either a four-year institution or something, they technically will not consider you a transfer. And also, like, just in case like something happens with your associate's degree, you don't want them to have you as a transfer, and then at the end of the day you don't have your associate's degree, and then you'd have to apply again, or you'd have to work something out with them. So Mr. Joe told us to just go ahead and select U.S. freshman. So that's something to keep in mind. The second thing is that if you click on the different applications, like if you just want to know what the differences are to make sure that U.S. freshman is really what you're supposed to select, if all of these application types are hyperlinked, so you can read for yourself like what each application entails. And then you just sort of continue the different indications on how to fill out your application, and you'll go from there. Something to keep in mind is that once you complete an application, you can reproduce it. Another tip that Mr. Joe Posada gave us on Tuesday was that, for example, like if you're going to complete your ApplyTexas application and you're applying to UT or Texas A&M, is there anybody that has UT or Texas A&M on their lists of colleges? And y'all can put a thumbs up or whatever y'all would like.
I do.
You do, okay, Mr. Jesse.
I do too.
Miss Chastity, Miss Esther, okay. So what Mr. Joe recommended is that these schools on ApplyTexas have a very rigorous application process. So they're gonna ask you for multiple essays, or they're gonna have like multiple short answers, or they're more rigorous in what they're asking for in their application. So Mr. Joe recommended that you go ahead and complete either one of these applications and then reproduce from there. So if you start with the most rigorous application, it means that the rest of the schools, even if their application process is not as rigorous, you're still presenting a really, really strong application because it's already been so rigorous for another one. So thinking about that, so you don't have to work twice as hard, or thinking smarter, not harder, right? If you can make your application really rigorous just because the school asks for it and then reproduce it, then that's the best use of your time. We're trying to create the strongest applications that we can so that we can get money and we can get accepted. And also, just in case y'all forgot, you are applying for fall 2021. So that is the year that you would be commencing your undergraduate career.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when applying for Texas A&M, they have like they have the regular application and then they have the scholarship. They both ask for an essay, but like they're the same topic. So do we just put the same essay?
I would personally put, I think that for both UT and Texas A&M, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Esther, your option for essays for the regular application, like not scholarship application, can be something else. Like you can choose one of the other topics, but for the scholarship, it is like, I think question C or like prompt C or something like that. So if one of them is like gives you options, then I would just submit 2 different essays if possible. But if not, I can ask Joe to make sure what the university prefers. But I think that I think that his recommendation will match up with my recommendation, and he'll say to just go ahead and submit 2 essays, so that they're getting 2 different stories instead of just one.
I can give y'all, if
Okay.
y'all are interested in UT, I'm gonna put in their Instagram page. They're very responsive on Instagram, and they have like their information linked. So if you want to set up an appointment with UT, they're super helpful, and they'll be able to do one-on-ones with you and like walk you through as well if you have any questions. So their Instagram is UT_Dallas, and his name is Joe Posada.
Esther, did they give you options of submitting a different essay for the application, or are they like for sure only asking for that essay on both sides?
I think I might have got it wrong because like it says that this institution is not require an essay for scholarships. So I think it's just the one for the regular, and then you
Okay.
just turn that in.
Because there will be like an option for scholarships that you will have to submit an application, or you have the potential to, but it's mostly just going to be like a personal statement. Like they won't ask a question directly, but make sure like something that I am doing even currently because I'm applying to grad school. I have sort of an Excel sheet where I have like the school, the deadline, and then like what documents it's required. So if it requires testing, like specific testing, and then I have all the questions and essays that they have also like laid out. It doesn't have to be on an Excel sheet because it can look really intense, but like just having some sort of layout, Esther, might also help you to see like if you, because I'm assuming you're asking me because you don't want to write as much, or you don't want to write all these essays. So like if you sort of begin to collect all of the essays and short answers, you'll begin to see where you can tweak some things here and there, or you can be like, oh, all of these essays are basically the same. So let me just write this one essay that I'll send to all of those. That might help. I don't know if that's something you wanted to hear, but I'm offering it anyway. Do we have any questions about ApplyTexas? I know Miss Chastity said that she had already created an account, and now I lost the chat. Okay. I don't know if she was able to log in. Okay, she said she was. Okay. Is anybody else struggling to create an ApplyTexas account so that I know maybe to come back to you when we do the sort of workshopping at the end?
No.
Now or forever hold your peace, y'all.
Huh?
So speak now or forever hold your peace.
I know, I'm like, okay, so that's the gist of ApplyTexas, right? Of course, there's more things that go into it, right? The essays, the short answers, but that is something that we'll be working on a later date. Right now, it's sort of just getting that basic information, like your name, where you live, your classes, your resume, stuff like that. And so this one, the next one that we'll be going over is the Common App application. And they have a little video that we can watch. I'm like, where is it? But right now, just like we did on ApplyTexas, make sure that you are looking it up on your browser, and then I'm like, ooh, and then starting an application. So I'm gonna play this little video just because I felt like it was more informative, that we were gonna see the same thing. So I'll play it for y'all. And do y'all want me to copy and paste the link to ApplyTexas? I mean, to the Common App? I'll just put it on the chat so that y'all don't have to go and look for it. And I would pin these to your Chrome or to your web browser, just because you'll be using these a lot. Oh, I sent this to Miss Chastity only, everybody. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So they have, the Common App application has a corner that is just for first generation college students. So it gives you, and that's what's sort of linked on the PowerPoint presentation. It tells you how to get started, or it gives you some advice on like how to get started applying for college. So gather your materials, that's something that we talked about earlier. And then they have create an account. And this is what we'll be watching. It's just like a minute long. Can y'all hear the audio? Can y'all hear it? Okay.
Oh. It's a little low, Maria.
Huh?
It's a little low. Like it.
That's all it goes. Did this change anything? Did it change anything?
Play it. Very low. Can you put closed captioning? Maybe that'll help.
It's not an option.
Oh.
Okay.
Sometimes it helps if you mute your own mic.
Okay. Thank you. We can't hear now. Okay, well, it's basically the video is just, it's gonna be the same recommendations as the one for Common App. The only thing that will be different is the way that it looks and sort of where you can apply to. The little video sort of guides you on like what you should be doing right now to sign up. So like how to put your name, or what to put here, what to put there. Maybe y'all should just play it all over there. I sent you the link to what it is, or this thing, and I'll send it again so that y'all can click it. I don't know why the video is not working. I'm so sorry. Where is the—
You shared your audio before you shared, like.
Let me check. I'm like, I think I did. I created an account, a Common App, and I read through it. Do I just read through it? Yes. For now, yes, Gabriel, just go ahead and read through it. And I'm gonna, oh no, it said new share. Okay, how do I stop sharing? Oh, share computer sound, okay, share, okay. Okay, let's see. Do y'all want me to start over? Or just from where it stopped? Doesn't matter, do you have, no, okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Next, you'll enter your name.
Let's just start over.
Hi, it's Stephanie from Common App. Let's take a look at how you can create a first-year Common App account. To create a first-year Common App account, use the Create Account button on commonapp.org. First, you're asked what kind of account you want to create. You can use the information icon to learn more about each type of account. For this video, we're going to create a first-year student account. First, you'll enter your email address and choose a password. Make sure to choose an email you check often. This email is how Common App and colleges you're applying to will get in touch with you. You'll also use this email to log into your account each time. Next, you'll enter your name, phone number, and date of birth. Be sure to use your legal name as it appears on official documents. This will help colleges to match documents with the correct applicant. Then, use the Add Address button to enter your address. First, select the country, and then type in your address. Select your address from the results given. If you don't see your address in the list, you can enter the correct information manually. Next, you're asked if you are currently based in a European Union country and when you plan to start college. Finally, you'll review and affirm some statements in the Common App privacy policy. Please take some time to carefully read and check the affirmation before continuing. When you're ready, use the Create Account button to complete the process. And that's it. Now that you understand how to create a Common App account, you're ready to get started.
We love the ending music. But yes, that's sort of what to follow. And like I said, similar to the ApplyTexas application, all of the things that you need will be housed there. It'll start off with the demographic information, sort of your background, your schooling, your education, right? All of that good stuff will be on there. And similar to the ApplyTexas, you can also duplicate applications. I don't know what schools are really rigorous, like as the entire nation. But like I recommended to Esther, I would recommend that all of you sort of begin to take your college list and begin to see like, oh, they need this or they need that or something along those lines, so that you can have all of that information sort of in one place and you feel a little more organized. I think that organization makes me feel a little less stressed, but that's just a recommendation for me. I do want y'all to begin to finish or work, like finish one or at least begin to complete one as much as you can today. And me and Ms. Martinez will sit here and workshop if y'all have any questions. I see that Mr. Jesse has a question that says, when it asks for household number, if we are not dependents, do we put one? No, I would say, what would you say, Ms. Martinez? You're muted.
I think this goes back to the question about your financial aid, Jesse, and I know we had a conversation about that. I think you should put, because if you're not considered a dependent, then you're going to apply for FAFSA as an independent person, especially because, you know, your whole situation. I would put one for now. I can ask Joe because he's like an expert on ApplyTexas. But I can ask him myself today and I'll text him. But my gut is telling me that it's going to be one because it has to match your financial aid.
FAFSA, yeah.
And since you're applying, your financial aid application is going to look a little different from other students. I think you're fine with putting one. Because that's what your situation is. So I think you're fine to put one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. As y'all are filling these, I created my Common App account. Okay, good. Did you have trouble, Ms. Chastity, completing that?
No trouble.
Good, okay. And I know that you're probably not gonna struggle too much completing these, but if you do, now is the time where you can always ask whoever your college advisor is with the questions, right? Whether it's me, whether it's Ms. Martinez, or whether it's Mr. Contreras, we're always open to those questions. I'm also, if y'all don't have questions about Common App, y'all are also welcome to ask questions or voice concerns that you have about you going on this college process or anything that y'all have covered. I know that we still have some time before our hour is sort of up, and this is sort of y'all's time to be like, we have questions over what we went over today, or I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with that. So this is sort of a space for y'all to let me know what y'all need.
I have a question.
Yes.
When it comes to writing down the extracurricular activities, and like since there's like a limited word, like number of words you can write into the little box, like how do y'all compose the sentence or like points? Because in extracurricular activities, I'm not sure if in ApplyTexas, but in the Common App, it says describe what the club was.
Mhm.
So how would you use that space so it could like seem best in the application?
Okay, so you go ahead, Ms. Martinez.
Oh, no, I was going to say I would use personally the organizations or the clubs that you've been involved with the most. If it was one organization that you joined in the fall, I mean, like your freshman year or sophomore year, and it was just like one org that you went to like 3 times and you really didn't make an impact, then I wouldn't. So, like, if you, let's say you have 3 organizations that you've been like really involved in, you were president or a member, whatever it is, I would go like for Common App because the space is limited. You can put those top 3 organizations and then just kind of like you can abbreviate the org name if it's possible. And then you can just put real quick like comma. So like let's say it was Spanish Honor Society, comma, date that you joined, and like a really quick overview about what you did. I would keep it to like just one really short phrase or sentence. And then because a lot of them require you to submit a resume. So let's say you submit 3 on your Common App, and then in your resume, you can include all the other ones that weren't as significant, but they were still part of your high school career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similarly to Ms. Martinez, I recommend that you choose organizations that you've had leadership experience in, or you have a long-standing commitment with them. So Upward Bound would be one of those clubs that you include on there. Any other club that you've been there for a long time, like those should also be prioritized. If you have like a president position, a vice president position, those should also be prioritized. As so far as like what you're describing, or like if it's asking you to describe what skills you're gaining from it or what you're doing, you always want to make sure that you diversify that, right? So let's say you have like Spanish Honor Society, NHS, right? You probably do community service for both. So you don't want to include community service for both, right? Choose which one has a more focus on community service, right? Community, like a short description of that on there. And then the other one, change it, right? So if clubs are very similar, try to find something that's different just because you want to say as many different things as you can on your application so that you know that you have all of the either experience or knowledge, right? So that's why I say the sort of pick and choose where you choose to put things, even if like similar clubs have similar things. I know that you were asking specifically about descriptions. So in descriptions, I would just look at the goals or the missions of the organization. So if it's NHS, putting sort of what the missions or the goals of either your school NHS or NHS in general is, right? For that, they don't really expect a really long information or just like a description because everybody knows what NHS is. But let's say, for example, you're part of the Key Club, right? Maybe write the mission of the Key Club on your on your campus, but something really brief that just talks about sort of like what you do and why you do it. I know that can seem like a lot because sometimes it's just like people do a lot of things, but just whatever you feel is going to be different than something you already said, but then also something that's sort of going to grab their attention. And I'm sorry if y'all hear my mom yelling in the background.
Remember to use action verbs when describing, and this is gonna be advice for you in the long run, even when you're a young professional. When you're writing information about a certain activity that you participated in, use action verbs: supported, advocated, presented, fundraise, planned, organized. You could really quickly say, organized fundraiser, planned 5K race for community service, advocated for whatever your mission is, child awareness week, something. So make sure that whenever if you want a short description, you could also use those action verbs. Like you can literally look up action verbs to describe things: planned, organized, advocated, mentored, all those things.
And when it comes to like time spans, because like y'all said, like something that you've been doing like for years throughout high school. Well, since I like did 2 years of high school in Mexico and 2 years here, like my extracurricular activities, I did have a couple in Mexico, and I did participate in them last junior year. But there's like a split because, for example, I was in folklore, volleyball. I was the student class president in Mexico. Then I got here, and then I was in academic decathlon. Spanish Honor Society, and I started a STEM club. I started a STEM club in Mexico and here, but you see, I wonder if they're gonna be like, why he just like stop doing this stuff, and then just started doing these other completely different stuff. I feel like the application will come out, but I'm not sure how it'll look.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, my mom's playing music in the background. But I would say that not to stress about that too much. There is going to be a section, I think, in both Common App and ApplyTexas that ask you to explain your situation, like if your GPA looks a little bit wonky, or like if your resume or your transcripts look a little different than everybody else. So I would say to still put stuff that is relevant, right? So still think about your college, your high school experience sort of holistically. So include both from both places, but I would take that time to, like, that space that they provide to really explain, like, in this application, like, you will see that there is sort of information that pertains to my time in Mexico and then my time here. So just be aware that this is something that you'll see in my application.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like it's gonna look kind of like weird that all of a sudden.
Yeah, but just take that time to explain it there. Don't stress about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Miss Esther.
So on the ApplyTexas, for Texas A&M, they ask for our classes.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm taking like classes that are kind of like filler. So I don't know if I need to list those on ApplyTexas.
Yeah, you'll still wanna include them, because then they're gonna think that you're not taking classes at all.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Okay.
so you'll have them on there. Yes, because then they're gonna be like, you don't take classes anymore. And so you wanna, even if they're filler classes, like, you'll be fine. Like, they can see your transcript, they see like what classes you took in the past or whatever would have you. But yeah, just go ahead and include them.
Okay, because I didn't know how it would look if like I have a bunch of classes that I get no credit for, and be like, why do you have these?
Don't know your resume why.
Okay.
So it won't be like a negative thing. They might be like, whoa, at first, but they're gonna look at your application and
Yeah.
why you have filler classes. So you'll be fine.
Any other questions? Are y'all struggling with maybe how to choose a school? Like, do y'all have a good list? I know we have a few new faces this time around. So I don't know how y'all are in your college application process. Like, is there any other questions that doesn't have to pertain to ApplyTexas or Common App, college waivers?
Like, a question that pertains like to all of us mostly, because it goes back to that initial topic that, like y'all mentioned a long time ago, of imposter syndrome. When it comes like to financial aid, I think most of us can't pay for college. But then I remember you telling me in some of our meetings that I needed to apply to more liberal arts colleges, because those are the ones that actually give you enough money so you could like not have debt. Like, how would you split like state schools, which don't give you that much financial aid, and liberal arts colleges, which usually give you more, but they're more competitive?
Okay. So sort of to answer that, we are asking y'all to sort of diversify your college list, right? Because the sourcing of funding does come differently, sort of like Jesse said, right? So when sort of choosing sort of this balance, like when you're picking what schools to apply to, I don't want y'all to think about it insofar as like in-state or out-of-state, public versus private, but rather really think about whether or not you like the programs, right? So for me, it's like the state schools were my safety schools. Just because like I knew my rank, I was in the top 10%. So it's just like, I always kept that as a safety, because I knew that UNT had to accept me like because of my rank, right? So I left those state schools as something that was my safety net, right? When we were thinking about college applications, right? Or how to do your college list, I said to sort of think about it in 10 schools, right? So we have 3 that are safety. And for me, those were state schools, right? But for y'all, it might be something different, thinking about where you stand as so far as academically and stuff like that. And then the next 3 are 50-50 schools. So there we have the majority of the qualifications to get accepted, but then we're also like, ooh, maybe our scores aren't great or something. And then we have 3 reach. If you feel like 3 reach is too much, then you can just add more to your safety schools. So your reach schools are schools that sort of have like a very diverse range of who they're accepting. You've seen outliers like in sort of like on all these different tracking websites. And I think that we haven't gone over it, sort of these different websites to use, but I know that like College Greenlight is one that's really good, and you can see like your probabilities of getting accepted. So using one of those websites will be useful. And then like the first one is like the 10th one will be your dream school. So when you think about those 10 schools, Mr. Jesse, I want you to think about it like that, right? Which schools do I have a high probability of getting accepted into? And then which schools do I have, like I still want to go, but I'm taking a risk. And so like I feel like conceptualizing it like that will allow you to really look at the programs and like you said, like the rigor of them. Because like, for example, like let's say that you're trying to go to Texas A&M and you're trying to go to their engineering school. Maybe you should really focus like your attention on that application and put it as a 50-50 or as a reach, because that's a competitive program, right? So it's, I guess like what I'm trying to say in all of my little rants is that yes, look at funding, but then also look like if you're struggling with that, right? Because the school's not going to tell you like, oh, I'm going to give you this average amount of like scholarship money. They're not going to do that. You're not going to know that until you get your acceptance letter. But look at how big these schools are. So like how big their programs are. So like Texas A&M is going to be giving out more specialized scholarships. So they're going to give you scholarships for wanting to do engineering, or wanting to do math, or wanting to be part of like their education, whatever, right? Their scholarships are going to be more diversified in that sense. In a liberal arts school, like they have not a rejection letter. We're not manifesting rejection here. We're not in this chat, not when we're talking about college apps, no rejection, no. Oh, now I lost my train of thought because I was like, oh my God, no rejection letters. And then at a liberal arts school, their endowments are what we'll be paying for. Their focus is more need-based. So if you feel like you, not that this is the same thing everywhere, but most of the time, like need-based scholarships are going to be like a big thing at liberal arts schools. But that also means that just because like they do have more need-based, like it can be competitive at times, but that's why you have to rank your schools adequately, right? So that we can say like, if we have a lot of these schools that like are very diverse in like who they accept or like who attends their campus, then we can't really identify trends of like, oh, they're gonna give this amount of money, or they're good at giving money, or they're not. So it's looking at sort of like your picture. But if you want, me and you can talk about your college list together, and I can be like, oh, these are all schools that like have really competitive programs for what you're applying to. Maybe we should add a few that are a little bit more safer, both in like being accepted, but then also financial aid wise. I don't know if that answered your question. I know that was really long. I just wanted to make sure I got everything out. Yes, I did. Okay, good. And Ms. Martinez mentioned college waivers. So from SAT and ACT, you should have received 4 waivers. Your college counselor should be the one that can direct you on how to obtain those. There is also other fee waivers that your counselor has access to based on your income. There's college waivers for like if you have free or reduced lunch that come from organizations that you can just sort of make copies of. Also, institutions themselves have a process for you to request fee waivers from them, but you have to do that beforehand, right? So I know like schools like Brown or Yale or stuff like that, like some of them already have written within their policies that like if you come from a disadvantaged background, whether like you're a minority or like you're queer or like you come from a low socioeconomic background, like you will be receiving like a fee waiver. So looking at that as well. If you can't find a fee waiver, Upward Bound will be able to pay for college apps or like your the fee for your application. But we just want to make sure that y'all are looking to see and make sure that y'all are using all of the free money that's out there first, and then we'll come in and sort of fill in those gaps where needed. So yes.
I sent in the chat the link for the college application fee waivers.
Yes.
It has every question you could possibly have, how to obtain those, where you can get them. Talks about the Common App. It basically tells you everything you should know about college fee waivers. Make sure y'all save that as well onto your.
And also just make sure that you're always add Upward Bound to your application. Maybe you don't like us and that's okay. Maybe you're like, Upward Bound has done nothing for me. Why would I include y'all? But the fact that y'all are with Upward Bound shows a level of commitment, right? Upward Bound is not just a program that exists at UNT Dallas, it exists all over the nation, right? We're funded by the Department of Education. So it's like a lot of these admissions counselors, when they see Upward Bound, like they're like, oh my gosh, like we know what that program is. Upward Bound would go on your clubs or organizations that you are a part of. So you can go ahead and submit that there. I know that within the next few weeks, I will be rolling out our Upward Bound Ambassadors program, or like our student council, right? Our version of that. So if you are looking to have a leadership position within Upward Bound, you can have one. And we'll be rolling that out within the next few weeks. So you will be to put on an application. But know that Upward Bound is a good commitment to have, it's a good program to have, because it shows your commitment, like your long-term commitment, or even your commitment to something that is not something like you have to participate in, right? You're choosing to be part of a program that is very much about college readiness and college access. So that's going to look good on your applications. If we don't know what classes we will take next semester, what do we put? You don't have any classes that are year-long, Esther? Like, I'm like, what's year-long? Like, English or like math? You're probably taking all collegiate courses, huh?
Yeah, I have one class that's year long, and then the rest of the filler classes. But other than that, like I'm not sure if I'm gonna take the classes that I think I'm gonna take next semester.
Well, then just put the classes that you think you're gonna take,
Okay.
because even if you don't take them, they'll still ask you for an updated transcript if they need one.
Okay, thank you. Oh, also, it asks for like, it says like put the name that's written, like it asks for the specific name, but I don't like the name on my school, like my high school transcript is different from the name on the college transcript. And also it doesn't have all the space to put the complete name. So I don't know how to write that.
So I would say just to choose the one that's the shortest and choose it consistently. So if you're gonna choose to represent like your classes, like let's say the high school transcript has it shorter, then for all of those classes, just put how they would appear on your high school transcript. So just use one transcript for everything, or like if you do switch between both of them, like you use the college one for the colleges, and make sure that for all of your college classes, you use the college transcript. And all of your like regular high school classes, you use the high school transcript. So just keep it consistent.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? If nobody, okay. What do you fill out in the honor section? That's gonna be like AB honor roll, A honor roll, like any other honors that you might have gotten, like some schools have like star student, I don't know, stuff like that. You can include
the honor roll, because I feel like weird, because sometimes it asks you like per year, and I feel like it would be kind of repetitive if I put like 9th grade honor roll, 10th grade honor roll.
You can just put, like if you got it for multiple years, you can put like 9th, 10th, 11th.
Or
and then
the year you started high school, like 20, I don't know what year you started high school, 2008, 2013. I mean, something like that. You know, like in
yes.
bracket, like
Yeah.
like this, 2008 to 2013, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good option. Yes. Anybody else? If y'all don't have any more questions, me and Ms. Martinez will sort of stick around, but y'all are welcome to go. Thank y'all for joining us. Me and Ms. Martinez will be working on a sort of like a mini series on the Instagram that's sort of like, we talk about small things, like maybe when you're thinking about your college list, think about public versus private, right? Maybe let's think about HBCUs or HSIs. Sort of some small things that are relevant to y'all, but that don't necessarily would require us to meet for an entire hour for. So if y'all are interested in that, most of the topics are going to be the topics that we talked about over the summer, or that were in the syllabus that Mr. Contreras sent. But if y'all do sort of just want another level of support, y'all can follow us on Instagram and it'll be on our stories. And it'll just be like titled maybe like Senior Talk or like Seniors Corner. And it'll be like a quick, like a few minute thing on the story. So yeah. But y'all are welcome to go. Thank you for joining us. And we hope that y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Bye. Have a good day. Thanks for helping. Have a good weekend.
Bye. You too, Ms. Jolie.
Bye.
We have the bag thing tomorrow, right?
No, it's next week.
Okay.
I'll post it on Instagram so everybody knows it's postponed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Demmer.
Bye. Thanks for the help.
Bye, Ms. Marjorie.